Hello there. I'm not even going to apologize for the vest. It's unbelievably hot in the UK. Today we are covering the much requested from our previous video. Thank you for your input. Give us suggestions below for the next tip you'd like to see covered. So transfers are probably one of the most easily magical, transformative potential tools you have in your painting arsenal, especially on Space Marines, but on anything basically. You can use them on neat models or on messy models. You can weather them or not. What we're going to do here is I'm going to try and take away some of the frustrations you might have with transfers. And even if you're experienced and already good at them, maybe there's a couple of tidbits here that are going to be useful so you can do a better job of applying them or refine your technique at home. We're going to go through how to apply them in the right place, in the right way, how to make them disappear so they don't look like a sticker, then how to blend them with the mini that you're on if you'd like to do that, and how to weather them. The weathering is particularly magical. The blending and the weathering, the shading, they are a step each, one step each, and your transfer will look magically more tied in with your mini. Out of shot, but up here, I've got an Empire guy whose shield's probably appearing now on the screen that we did ages ago on the channel. You can go really full on with the weathering, but you don't need to do that at all. We're only going to do it in 2 steps. Please give us your suggestions down below this. I'm doing this video because many people asked for it, so pop your suggestions down below, and the best, most liked suggestion will receive a set of your choosing. That's it. Thank you very much for your engagement with the Dark Angels video. If you don't know what to suggest, let us know if you'd like to see Ultramarines next. I have been trying to refine my method and I think I've nearly got it down. Let's jump in. All right, so time for some decals. Let's go over a couple of basics preparation first. Generally speaking, it's easy to put your decal down over a surface that has been varnished. You can also set it with a Citadel shade or something else like that, anything that is going to give a slight layer of protection. Generally speaking, if it's a matte area, they're going to need protecting more than if it's satin. So ours has been varnished beforehand. You can do that by hand or with an airbrush, either way is fine. Next thing you're going to need to do is select your decal. So with the decal itself, you are best, generally speaking, unless you need to provide extra protection to a thin one like this sword, you're better off cutting it as close to the decal as possible. All the decals have got a little extra lip around them, and generally speaking, you don't want that lip, or you want as little of it as possible. Okay, so with your decal separate, I tend to just impregnate it with water from below. Sit it around that and we'll allow it to work its way up and in. 20 or 30 seconds or so, that is about enough. At this point, I might take a last opportunity to kind of just take a finger over the surface, make sure there's nothing else on it that is going to get in the way. At this point, if you've got another troop that has the same decal on that you're looking to match, it's a good idea just to prop it up behind where you're working, and then you can use that. Now, I'm going to use a small brush. To gently kind of do a combination of slide and or roll the decal off, and as soon as I've got a lip, take my brush underneath it and try and separate it from its backing paper. Keep rolling and pushing, and generally you want to be trying to support the largest part of the decal possible. Okay. All right. Remembering that if an arm is tipped at an angle, up is going to be a different way. Luckily on this one we've got a pretty helpful kind of surface area. We're just going to lay it on carefully here. So in this instance, I'm going to go from the bottom. And out we go. You can see we've got some wrinkles and crinkles on it. They are not ideal. This is the point where you want to get a normal cotton bud. Now what I tend to do is just give it a dab or give it a lick, and then I'm going to press from the inside outwards towards the edge, and that should help push away some wrinkles. You can also roll down, but be really careful. Don't kind of push and slide. You always want to be rolling. Now, this looks pretty dreadful, so we're going to start using some products on it. And for me, really, there's only one product that we'd be using in this situation, and that is Microsol. So this is going to soften things, make them behave themselves, basically. What I'm going to do is just dab off some excess here. Don't need all of it. Now this, if you haven't varnished especially, it's one of the reasons to varnish. This will do some weird stuff around the decal. So I've just picked up some of the little bits of white fluff that I saw in it there with a brush. It's your last opportunity to take away before you start locking things in. What I'm doing essentially is, like I impregnated my my transfer just on my painting table, I'm trying to give it a little bit of a soak. You don't do anything at this point. This is going to soften things. If you've got so much excess it's running off, you can try and mop it up. What we're going to need to do now is leave that for 15 minutes. If you want to rearrange it or it's pointing, now is pretty much your last chance. I think I'm pointing just about up. If you're impatient at this stage, get out the hairdryer. Trust me, it'll do some magic. What you should see there is the transfer. This is what will happen in time as well, but the transfer has completely kind of like suctioned itself to your shoulder pad. It is going nowhere. You want to be careful if this is hot, by the way. You can blow dry it with your heat off, but the first thing I do is just put it to your lip or somewhere sensitive and see if it's still super warm. You want it to cool down a bit. You can blow on it as well. You don't want it warm though. Okay, mine's now cooled down. Rinse and repeat. Careful, because this can reawaken things. Again, we're not looking to flood anywhere. So I'm going to pull up that excess. It can do some strange stuff if you've got too much of it going on. So I'm just trying to move it around the transfer. You can do that as many times as you like. If you've got a more difficult shape, it might be more important to do it, multiple times and repeat it. What I'm going to do now though is taking any type of cotton bud. I'm going to use a Tamiya one. I'm going to press really hard and see if I can roll out any wrinkles. You can use a finger at this point. Mine are painty. Anything you want to press in, be careful because this is a delicate transfer. So if it's gonna, small bits of it could come off or it could fall apart. You want to let it dry far more than it is currently. And I'm going to go around and just pick up these little bits that have worked their way around or off it, clean them up and let it dry. Now, once this is 100% dry, more than a hairdryer will do, leave it a good while. We're going to come back, we're going to do our post-processing. So this looks pretty cool now, but it still looks like a sticker. We're going to hide it and we're going to make it look perfect. We're also going to be matching the weathering of a shoulder pad here. So our shoulder pad gets dark at the bottom. We're going to make it so the transfer does that too. And then we're going to add a couple of scratches and that will make a huge difference. If we take one here and zoom in on it, the scratches do not need to be perfect. The weathering does not need to be perfect. It just needs to be there. I think that's like a stage of weathering and a stage of scratches. My God, does it make a difference? Okay, so it's literally the next day. It's up to you how many times you want to repeat the kind of the flattening process. You see I've still got a couple of little wrinkles there. You can actually buff them out. Various tools, you could use the back of your nail. For me though, for army painting, this is pretty cool. And what I'm concerned with is that shiny sticker-like quality that we want to get rid of. So the first step is very simple. I find it easiest to turn this matte and then from that point set it to match whatever we have elsewhere on the model. So use AK matte varnish. Your last chance is now, by the way, for any little bits that have fallen off the transfer or any fluff or anything. Obviously a varnish is going to lock it in. Take the varnish, I'll water it down quite a lot. And I'm aiming pretty much just for the transfer, but you can, if you prefer, do the entire pad. Make sure that you don't color in just the white bit in this situation. Make sure you get the surround as well. And this might take a couple of goes. So you can see that's done a lot to kind of set it. I am going to do it a second go. The more you've diluted it with the water, the more you'll have to do multiple steps. If you want to just do one with it pretty much neat, then, rock on. There we go. It's made a huge difference. At that point, it is pretty much good to go. But I'm going to show you what I would do to kind of set this and normalize it. Okay, got some satin varnish. And given that the rest of my armor is slightly shiny, I'm going to use this to hopefully bring all of the pad to match together. Don't ask me why you have to do the matte first for this to work. You just, in my experience, you just do. And there we go. So that's where you get the same level of shine from the pad to the arrow. You can highlight it before this, before setting it like that, or shade it or something, or do other painting elements to it. But for me, that's pretty solid there. It's all good. And then it's just a matter of, can't find my null, so I'll try and do this on hard mode with diluted black Templar. Doing a little bit of post-processing to make it so that arrow gets darker towards the bottom, because my shoulder pad gets darker towards the bottom, so it's really dilute. And this isn't fancy painting at all. You can see I've just done one step there. You can add as many steps as you like. Could be more subtle than this if you want, it's up to you. But just that little bit does a lot to tie it with a pad. You can, because white, like a pure white from a sticker rather than from painting looks so out of place, you can get the entire thing. And personally, I think that's just a good way to make it look a little bit more war-torn, less pristine. Works really well. Final step is scratches. Definitely optional. And your aim here is to get as thin a line as possible, and a couple make a difference. If you've got any wrinkles, you can use this to hide the wrinkles. So rather than fixing them, it might just be a little bit easier to go and hide them or camouflage them like this. Brace, hold breath. There we go. Of course, if you've got a matching color, you can try and paint around it. But honestly, if you get, for army painting at least, if you get very close to a hidden transfer, hold it at arm's length, then see if you think it matters. Probably it doesn't. So how did I do this awesome freehand 3 on this guy? Well, the easy answer is that I didn't. I stacked transfers. So having shown you the full process, I'm not going to show it in complete unadulterated non-sped up format, but I'm just going to cut out this and I'm going to follow every single step we've done previously, and then I will place it on top of the previous transfer. Remember, our last step with the previous transfer was a final varnish, so we're protected, we're safe, and literally I'm just going to do everything that I've done before again. Nothing changes. It's easier than you think the second time round, because one of the main problems for me is kind of centering things and large transfers, and this is not a large transfer at all. What's really a problem are tricky transfers, and one of the classics is the ultramarine symbol. So I'll show you what I would do for that. First thing is to cut it out. Now, important step, I'm going to cut in the middle of the U. Like I said, nothing changes, it's just a little bit smaller. And there we go. The soak and wait just working wonders there. Got a little bit of a tidal mark, which we didn't get on the last one. I'll show this as an example. Hopefully it's showing up on camera. I mean, there's various ways you can fix it. One of the most obvious is just to coat the entire pad in a thin film of the same stuff. Not pulling, but just kind of glazing it over the entire thing. That should fix it. Careful anytime you're putting it on, because this it's going to soften it, it's going to make it more delicate, and it can reawaken it. Some people use this to soak their transfer in, but I find personally it makes things far too delicate and likely to rip, and also for it to stick together in some, you know, lump that completely kills your transfer. There you go, you know the drill now. Hair dryer equals time. The tops have ended up quite close together on the symbol, but I'm okay with that. It's not the end of the world. And we just go through all the same processes that we did here on this one. All right, we are done. Suggestions down below. If you have different ways to use decals below, let us know. If you think I missed anything and I could improve if I covered this again, please let us know. This is something that I use on every marine. And in fact, if I'm going to do a niche chapter, I will wait until I've managed to find some transfers for that chapter, or something that I can, you know, another transfer that I can adapt for it or use in place or paint on or something like that before I even start doing them. They are that important and that magic. What you gain just by adding a clean, crisp line, whether you weather it or not, or picture or whatever it is on your minis, is amazing. Something else I'd also consider is you don't have to put them in the normal places. You can scrape an aquila off. We've done that on the channel. Check out this video. I'll probably link it at the end. You can open up someone's chest plate and then cover it in stuff. You can just use lines or shapes or stripes. You can combine it with masking and stippling. So you can paint one freehand aspect and, you know, like quartering a shield, and use a transfer. Those two things stacked together is amazing. The more you stack your techniques, the less each one of them needs to be perfect. I think people get this wrong a lot of the time. You put an edge highlight on a blended area and your blending looks better. You blend an area before putting an edge highlight on and your edge highlight looks better. If you can, paint a stripe on your model with masking maybe to make it easier, then put a transfer in, then chip the edges, then do a tiny bit of shading. Each one of those steps doesn't need to be done nearly as well. They need to be like 60% successful, and they add up, and the sum of their whole is far greater than their individual parts. Hopefully you found that useful. Tips below, suggestions below. What would you like to see next? Catch you in the next video.